Tell you the truth, I think we're living in the most dangerous times since we got attacked.
It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth.
Morgan Freeman and Robert De Niro didn't hold back in their brutal criticism of Donald Trump and Melania. With one devastating word, they exposed what they see as the truth behind Trump's leadership and its impact on America.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about, I said, what just happened just happened. No, it didn't. Didn't happen.
Chaos. That's the word that defined Donald Trump's presidency. From his fiery speeches to his unpredictable policy shifts, it was a whirlwind of division, misinformation, and rising tensions. Racial disparities deepened, hate groups grew bolder, and the nation seemed more fractured than ever. For many Americans, it felt like a slow unraveling of the country they thought they knew. And amidst this turmoil, two legendary voices decided they could no longer stay silent.
It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it.
Morgan Freeman and Robert De Niro are two names synonymous with gravitas and influence. These aren't actors who toss out opinions lightly or chase headlines. No, when they speak, people listen. But this time, they weren't on a movie set. They weren't acting. They were calling out what they saw as a dangerous and unprecedented moment in American history. And they weren't mincing words.
Tell you the truth, I think we're living in the most dangerous times since we got attacked.
Morgan Freeman, known for his calm and measured demeanor, wasn't calm this time. His message was stark. America is in one of its most dangerous periods, not because of foreign threats or even economic turmoil, but because of internal chaos, division, lies, and a leader, Freeman argued, who was never fit to hold the nation's highest office.
City, I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world.
And then there's Robert De Niro, never one to pull punches. For years, he's been vocal about his disdain for Trump. But during this time, his frustration hit a new peak. De Niro criticized Trump's policies and behavior and called him a gangster, running the country like a mob boss. Coming from the man who's played some of the most iconic mobsters in Hollywood history, that's no small statement. It's personal, it's cutting, and it's rooted in decades of understanding how power can corrupt. So why did these two titans of Hollywood decide to speak out when they did? Timing is everything. By the end of Trump's presidency, the cracks in America's foundation were hard to ignore.
You know, it's like Trump. I really don't like him as a person. I think he's arrogant, kind of a jerk, but...
From laymen to Hollywood actors, everyone is disappointed. Attacks on the media, the rise of conspiracy theories, and an emboldened culture of misinformation. Freeman and De Niro saw this as more than just politics. They saw it as a threat to democracy itself, and they weren't alone. Experts and political analysts were echoing similar concerns, but it was the raw, unfiltered voices of Freeman and De Niro that cut through the noise.
Speaking of old white men, do you remember the first time you voted, and who was it for? Or is this in the CRS category?
Yeah.
Freeman's perspective was shaped by a lifetime of watching America's struggles and triumphs, both on and off the screen. To him, the chaos was a direct challenge to the ideals the country was built on.
And when things get messy, people speak up, especially those with influence. Enter two Hollywood legends.
Likewise, De Niro spoke about the denial of truth, spreading like wildfire, undermining trust in key institutions, and leaving the country vulnerable to deeper instability.
When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators.
On the other hand, De Niro approached it with his signature fiery passion. He didn't hesitate to call Trump out as a dangerous figure whose obsession with power was dragging the country into chaos. The comparison to a mob boss reflected De Niro's belief that Trump ruled through fear and manipulation, much like the characters he spent his career portraying.
But I think, it's time we moved on from old white men running the country.
Freeman and De Niro didn't speak out because they wanted attention. They spoke out because they saw a storm brewing that threatened to consume the nation they love. And their voices, rooted in decades of experience and credibility, carried a weight that few others could match. When they warned of dangerous times, it wasn't a Hollywood script. It was reality, and they wanted the world to pay attention.
I think what people like about him, he's just direct. He's very direct, and he just lands it. He says what he says, and he doesn't care.
Robert De Niro is not one to mince words. When he calls Donald Trump a sociopath, a malignant narcissist, and even a gangster, it's not hyperbole. It's De Niro's unfiltered assessment of a man he sees as a danger to the United States. For years, De Niro has been relentless in his critique of Trump. But it wasn't until his infamous statement at the 2018 Tony Awards that his disdain reached a boiling point. 2 words, "Fuck Trump," delivered with rage and defiance, sent shockwaves across the room and the nation.
Donald Trump, I'm going to build a wall. I told them to build me that wall. I want a sensational wall.
One of the central concerns was the rise of misinformation. He pointed to a denial of truth that seemed to take hold during Trump's presidency, where facts became optional and reality was up for debate. The former president's embrace of alternative facts, his constant attacks on the press as fake news, and his relentless spread of unverified claims created what Freeman described as a crisis of trust. Without a shared sense of truth, Freeman argued, democracy itself was at risk.
We're going to be signing an agreement, which will be a very big agreement. The previous administration put us in a very bad position.
But it wasn't just misinformation. Freeman also highlighted the deepening divisions in the country under Trump's leadership. The racial tensions that boiled over during Trump's presidency, from Charlottesville to the George Floyd protests, underscored what Freeman saw as a president who failed to unify and instead stoked division. According to Freeman, this wasn't just about Trump's policies, it was about his rhetoric, his tone, and the dangerous movements that flourished as a result.
Trolling the Republican Party. Stated, and what's this guy's name?
For Freeman, the stakes were existential. This wasn't a matter of political disagreements or partisan squabbles, it was about the survival of the nation's institutions. Freeman spoke about weakened structures, press, judiciary, electoral systems, that seemed to bend under the weight of Trump's constant attacks.
She's a low IQ individual. I don't want to have her say.
Of course, such high-profile criticisms didn't go unanswered. Trump's response to De Niro was swift and scathing, dismissing the actor as a low IQ individual and mocking his career. In classic Trump fashion, he flipped the narrative, using De Niro's words as proof of Hollywood's alleged elitism and disconnect from everyday Americans. Freeman wasn't spared either. While his critiques were more subdued, Trump's supporters painted him as yet another liberal elitist trying to lecture the country. The irony? By portraying himself as a victim of Hollywood's disdain, Trump reinforced his image as a populist hero fighting against the so-called elite.
People just like the fact that he just says it, and he doesn't care. And sometimes I think people envy that.
Despite the backlash, Freeman and De Niro's warnings didn't fall on deaf ears. Their words resonated with millions who shared their fears about Trump's leadership. But the polarization of America meant that their critiques also deepened the divide, with supporters and critics entrenched in their beliefs. But here's the kicker. When future generations look back, will they remember Freeman and De Niro as the voices of wisdom who stood up in dangerous times? Or will Trump's larger-than-life persona overshadow their warnings? After all, history has a funny way of simplifying things. Heroes and villains, winners and losers. That's how the narrative gets told. And this isn't just about individuals. It's a battle of ideas. Freeman and De Niro represent something bigger. A fight for truth in an era where misinformation spreads faster than Wi-Fi at a coffee shop. They're standing up for institutions, for democracy, for facts. Trump, on the other hand, has built his brand on questioning those very things. He's the king of flipping the script, turning critics into the elite, and himself into the underdog. So, what kind of America do you want to leave behind? Like this video and subscribe to the channel to know more information on American politics.